Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about Errol the Truth Spence, and I still think he's the truth. My question is, who can Errol Spence fight next, and who would be the right opponent for him at 154 pounds? Really quick, if you like the videos, take the time right now. Please subscribe to the channel. One click, but also hit that thumbs up button. That's also one click. Let's jump into this. So my question is, like I said, who can Errol Spence fight next? What would be the right career path choice for Errol Spence moving forward, especially going into 154-pound division? So I have 4 prospects in this video, and I'm going to break them down who I think he should fight next and who he should not. I think is definitely somebody he should warm up to. So first, I have Sebastian Fundora. I think he's a good candidate. He's not. I think he's kind of built for an Errol Spence type of style, a pressure style. Somebody who can, is just going to kind of press forward. I think it's a fan-friendly fight as well. Sebastian would pose some threats, but I don't think like he would pose major threats to Errol Spence. I think like Errol Spence could solve that puzzle relatively fast. I think the biggest probably, obviously, when you're talking about Sebastian Fundora, the biggest problem or test in fighting him would be, his size and his reach. But I really don't feel like that's going to be a huge thing for Errol Spence, to be honest with you. He was tall for 147 pounds. He would be, an average sized guy at 154 pounds. But nonetheless, I just don't feel like that's going to be the biggest problem. Fundora he's not as technically sound. He is clumsy just due to his size. He tends to overextend because he's so tall and he has such a long reach. And I feel like Errol Spence could capitalize on a lot of things that he does wrong. But if, let's just say Fundora had like an amazing fight and he did everything right, I still see Errol Spence, besting him. I'm not saying it'll be a walk in the park. Fundora showed that he's got a lot of heart, especially when he was fighting Erikson Lubin. He did show he had a lot of heart. He did show that he can go down to the canvas and get back up and continue to fight and also win if he has to. So I'm not saying he's going to be a walk in the park or anything like that. But I look at it like this. If you're going to go to a new division, you definitely want to, dip your feet in the water first to see how cold it is before you just jump right on into the division. So I think it is a safe route if he were to ease into the division. Next, I have Erikson Lubin. Now, again, I just mentioned him. He's a tough guy. Not only is he a tough guy, he's a creative guy. And he's kind of like this new wave of guys kind of coming out where they like to do like these flashy little things in the ring. Now, here's my take on Erikson Lubin. I think he's tough. I think he's a solid boxer. I think he's somebody who will kind of meet you where you're at. But I also think the way he fights, he's easily lured into something else. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you were to fight Erikson Lubin, he could be having a spectacular boxing match with you, and then out of nowhere, he'll just kind of, turn flat-footed and kind of just take it to the street. And I feel like Errol Spence could kind of force him into that type of fight. Now, the question is, can he win that type of fight with Erikson Lubin? That's the question. Can he win that type of fight with Erikson Lubin? Well, Lubin has some knockouts. I believe he has more than Errol Spence. I'm sure somebody proved me wrong if I'm lying about that. But can he go toe-to-toe with Erikson Lubin? Erikson Lubin is a big dude. All right, he cuts down a lot. He's a solid guy. He's not a small dude at all. I mean, granted, Errol Spence can fight at 60, no problem. Probably 68, but he could definitely fight at 60, no problem. That being said, they're about the same size. Erikson's a little bit bigger, but, roughly they're about the same size. But the question is, can Errol do Errol Spence with Erikson Lubin? And that's a hard one to say. I really don't know off the top of my head. I got to be honest with you. Can he be Errol Spence totally and completely with Erikson Lubin? Because the reality is, Erikson Lubin in the beginning rounds, you're going to have to find him. And he's going to pot shot. He's going to move around a lot. He's going to utilize the ring. he's only going to slow down, as the rounds go on. But also, you have to grind him out. You have to apply serious pressure. Now, again, if you're just moving into the weight class, I don't necessarily know if that's how you want to start your first date off, trying to pressure Erikson Lubin into a street fight. I don't really know if that's the best option for you. I doubt it. Like I said, he's a tough guy. We've seen his heart in the ring. Now, here's the thing. Both guys have heart. Errol Spence, we've already known that he had a heart, going all the way back to the Kell Brook fight and the Sean Porter fight. We already knew that he had a heart, so that's nothing new. But Erikson Lubin showed that he had a lot of heart, too. He's not a soft guy. He's a real durable, strong, not just physically strong, but mentally strong as well. So I think it'd be an interesting fight, but I think it would be a true test of where Errol Spence, belongs and fits in at 154 pounds. And I got to tell you, at this point in time, I really don't know. Because all we can do is go by what we've last seen of somebody. And to be honest with you, that last performance by Errol Spence didn't look too good. Now, here's the argument when we make assumptions based upon somebody's last performance. Well, we have to look at the individual that they were fighting. And, arguably, pound for pound, he fought the best guy in the world. So that's not to say that Errol Spence did a bad job. It's just that he was going up against the best in the world. So if he was going up against maybe the second best in the world, maybe he wouldn't look so bad. See, that's the problem with, Errol getting beat by Errol getting beat by Crawford. It shows how great Crawford is, but it doesn't say where exactly Errol is. And that's why this fight with Erikson Lubin would be very, very telling, because Erikson Lubin, I don't think he's at the top, but he's definitely not at the bottom of the barrel. I can tell you that right there. He's probably, in my personal opinion, I would say, after Tszyu, he might be the guy at 154 pounds. Maybe at least the third guy. He's definitely not number 5. He's probably number 3 or 4. So that's a tough one. I got to be honest with you. Right now, at this moment, I would have to go with Erikson Lubin. He looked good in his last fight. But yeah, I would just have to go with Erikson Lubin. Because it's not that I need to see Errol Spence. I need to hear Errol Spence after that, the Bud Crawford loss. Because in hearing somebody, you can see where their mind is at. And especially where their heart is at and what they're zoning in on in the future. But at this moment, I'm sorry, I got Erikson Lubin. I think he can beat Errol Spence at 154 pounds. So next, I have Tszyu. I haven't been shy on saying what would happen if Errol Spence were to fight Tszyu. Now, I get it on paper, Tszyu doesn't look like the most spectacular guy in the world. I also get it that, on paper, he doesn't look like the most accomplished guy in the world. And when you watch him fight, it's easy for, somebody who's not somebody who doesn't have a boxing background, they could look at Tszyu and say, well, he's very basic. He's not doing anything special. He just hits hard. He just comes forward and he hits hard. Well, he cuts off the ring pretty well. And it's the subtleties that get you with Tszyu. It's not that he's unskilled. He's just very subtle. And he's very simplistic in his movements and in his attacks. He's not going to do some overly complex moves or anything like that. He's not that. He's not a very creative guy in that sense either. But then again, when you hit that hard and you can cut off the ring that well, you don't necessarily need to. And when you can take punishment, and I feel like he is a durable guy that can definitely take punishment, I really don't feel like he needs to. I think Tszyu needs to continue doing what Tszyu's been doing because it's been very successful thus far. So with that being said, do I feel like Errol Spence could beat Tszyu? I think the only way Errol Spence could beat Tszyu is if he fights the way he fought Mikey Garcia and he throws 100 million punches every round. Then, possibly, the only problem with that is that gap is going to get closed, probably by round 4, 3 or 4. Then we're going to see what Errol has at 154 pounds. And everything's going to change at that point, to be honest with you. And I got to be honest with you, I just don't feel that Errol can beat Tszyu. Not right now. Not right now. I definitely don't think, if Errol has any type of common sense, not to knock him, but if he has any sense and, he really has a supporting team, I don't think his introduction into 154 pounds should be against the likes of a Tszyu. I think that'd be very bad for his career, and I don't think it'd help his health out any. So I don't see that happening as well. Now, last but not least, I have Terence Bud Crawford. Now, granted, Terence Bud Crawford will be moving up to 154 as well. It's not his division as of yet, but nonetheless, he's going there. And nonetheless, if they are to have the rematches where Earl says he wants to have it. He believes, if he has extra size on him and he didn't have to drain himself and cut down, it would have been a lot stronger, maybe even a lot faster. He would have been comfortable. Here's the problem with that. Terence didn't beat you on any of that. He beat you with pure skill. He beat you with superior defense, and he beat you with the right weaponry. That's that. He was touching you to the body. He had a great jab, great counterpunching, and he was mixing it up extremely well and kept you on the back foot, but also not knowing what was coming next. That has nothing to do with size. That has nothing to do with you being drained or anything like that. This is what beat Errol Spence was strictly skill and technique. That's it. So I don't foresee in any way, shape, or form or fashion why things would be different at 154 pounds. I don't understand Earl's logic. I mean, granted, he's the one that got beat up, so I'm pretty sure that would, you got to tell yourself something. You are going to bed tonight, and you're going to be, in the bed, and you're going to have these dreams and these thoughts and what I could have done differently. So I understand you got to tell yourself something. But the reality is, it wasn't like he had to outmuscle you or he had to outpower you or, he had to outpress you. No, he beat you with skill and technique. Unless you plan on getting exponentially better by the time you two rematch, and I doubt it, I don't foresee anything different going to happen. Not only that, Terence Crawford knows you now. And he spent 9 rounds in there with you. He knows you pretty well. He knows your tells, which I'm assuming he knew a lot of that prior to the fight. The fight actually confirmed everything he thought he knew about you. And now he knows even more about you. So I just don't see Errol Spence beating Terence Crawford. And I got to be honest, at this point in stage, I don't see him doing very well on 154 pounds. And I know a lot of people are going to give me flack for that. But I just don't see him doing that well on 154 pounds. I mean, I think, this is my personal opinion, if I were in his team, I would definitely say, let's start small and work our way up. Let's have 2 fights. One with somebody maybe top 10, maybe number 8 or 9. We'll see how you do with that. Based upon how you do with that, we jump up to 6. Based upon how you do with that, then we go into the top 5. That's how I would play this. I wouldn't just be so eager to jump into the top 5 or eager to get a title shot or anything like that just because you have a name. I think he needs to ease into the division. 1, because it's a new division. 2, because they're a lot bigger, a lot stronger. 3, because of how he just got beaten. I think he needs time to adjust, not just to the size, but also to what happened to him. And I think he needs to really look at that defeat on film and study it. And going forward, know what's ahead. Because you have some guys, 154 pounds is that division where these guys are fast and they're strong. It's not like heavyweight. They're strong and they're slow. No, these dudes are fast and they're strong. It's not like bantamweight where most of them don't have a lot of power. No, they're fast and they're strong. So I think you need to ease into it. And I think that would be the safest bet. You get number 8, see how you feel with that person since you're number 1, you come back from a loss, and number 2, it's a new division. Then you go to number 6, strictly to number 6, not 5, but 6. Based upon if you knock number 6 out of the water, then absolutely you jump into the top 5. And at that stage, then we can really gauge how things are going to go, and then you can pull the I'm the popular one in the division card, and throw your name around and your weight around at that stage in time. But that's how I see that going. Unfortunately, that's how I see, things for Errol Spence on 154 pounds. I'm not saying that he cannot be successful, but I'm just saying based upon the way that he was beaten, based on how badly he's beaten, and based on how basic he looked in being beat, I think he should ease into the division of 154 pounds. I don't think he should, speed into it. And I definitely don't think he's trying to use his name to try to get some big fights at 154 pounds. But those are my thoughts. You drop your thoughts down below. You tell me, what do you think? Do you think I'm wrong when I have this list? Do you think these are not the right 4 people? Do you believe that Errol Spence would do a lot better? Do you believe he should jump automatically into the top 5, or he should just get a title shot when he jumps in? Let me know. Drop your thoughts down below. And as always, please like, please share, please subscribe to this channel.